Hey everyone, welcome to the NFL edition of the Daily Fantasy Flex podcast for December 28th, 2016, brought to you by FantasyLabs. I'm Matthew Freedman, the editor-in-chief. A quick note, this is the last week of the season, but it definitely will not be our last show. We're going to record into the playoffs for the degenerates among you. So for the wild card round, we will have David Kitchen as our guest. For the divisional round, Sean Corner, and then for the championship round, the granddaddy of them all, Evan Silva. So be sure to catch those shows. This week, as always, I'm joined by podcast regulars Adam Levitan and Peter Jennings on Twitter at Adam Levitan and CSCRAM88. And also joining the show is Renee Miller at Renee Miller01. She's a neuroscientist, a DFS writer for ESPN, RotoWorld, and Daily Fantasy Cafe, and the author of the book Cognitive Bias in Fantasy Sports. Renee, how's it going?
Good, Matt. Thanks for having me on again. It's been a while since I talked to you guys.
Yeah, it's always great to have you on the show. Did you have a good holiday season? Is it going well for you? And then how was week 16?
So far, so good. Yeah. The holidays were a little spread out for me. My birthday's in December, and then my parents were going to be away, so we did Christmas a little bit early, and then half of my family celebrates Hanukkah, so we did that. And now I'm in California with more things in the works here for New Year's Eve and stuff. So it's been a long month of celebration.
Yeah, that's nice. Levitan, Pete, any holiday stories or bad DFS beats you want to bemoan?
I did terrible in week 16, but I don't have any bad beats. Nobody's fault but my own. I'm more concerned with just the rabid guilt that I'm racking up along with Pete as we ignore our families in favor of playing the 4 p.m. only, 1 p.m. only, Sunday, Monday night, Sunday night, Monday night slate, Monday only, Sunday only slate. So, no, it's going all right. I don't want to say I'm glad that we're in week 17, but it'll be somewhat of a relief. But I'm definitely not glad. I'll definitely miss it.
Definitely, Pete.
Yeah, I'll certainly miss it as well. Brought a Coors Light on for you guys for this one, so I'm going to crack that right now for the week 17 pod. Yeah, I mean, the Christmas Eve only slate was the worst slate of the year for me by a large margin. Any contest that started on Thursday went well because I just jammed in Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. But, yeah, Christmas was fun. The short slates helped eat back a little bit of the damage done on Christmas Eve. But it was fun. Not too much guilt. My family actually watched with me, so it was a better holiday than normal, actually. It was fun.
Well, Pete, I think it's appropriate that you brought the Coors Light because in terms of skill game propositions, last week, 3 of us were above 500. Pete, would you like to guess who wasn't above 500?
Well, I can guarantee it was me.
Yeah.
I wanted all the money on Amari Cooper and Lockett and all the – yeah, I know it was bad news for me.
Yeah, 7-14, definitely not your best week. So on the season, Pete is 98 and 111. Levitan is 92 and 87, and I am a wonderfully efficient 67 and 49. Renee, given your neuroscience knowledge, I'm wondering if you can provide us with some insight into any flaws in Peter's decision-making process. But more seriously, a lot of your early fantasy sports content explored the cognitive biases that impact the fantasy decisions we make. I'm curious, what are some of your recent thoughts on how people make DFS decisions?
Well, I think a lot of times I see the biggest mistake people making on a broad scale and on the limited amount of one-to-one kind of coaching that I've done in this past season is overthinking and trying so hard to be contrarian or to come up with the awesome play that no one else is going to have that they ignore common sense. And I think that's the biggest, I don't know, maybe new problem in the field that I've run up against since I've started playing. People kind of throw logic out the window and create these like House of Cards kind of scenarios to justify using certain players. And I don't know. It's not in line with like my scientific background where I really strive to use evidence to support my decisions, and that applies to DFS as well. And I'm not always right, obviously, but I think that process of like what's the most logical outcome still makes a lot of sense, even though more people are playing than ever. And sometimes it is that, backup tight end that really makes your lineup. more often than not, it isn't.
Yeah, no, I would say that people think, the way I agree with Renee, people think that you get money for roster a guy who's 1%. Like, I check my DraftKings account every Monday. I'm like, where is my money for rostering the dude for one that was 1%? It's not there. So yeah, I definitely agree that as we've kind of moved along here, and the chalk is even more chalkier because there's so much more good information out there. That doesn't mean we necessarily have to look for guys who are 1%.
Yeah, it's fancy play syndrome. You
Yeah.
know, FPS from poker. It's definitely really got into DFS as well, and I think that's a really sharp point, Renee.
Well, I think that the corollary to that is the more people strive to find these kind of off the wall approaches, that the chalky guys end up being way lower owned than everybody thinks in the first place. Like, everybody tries so hard to get off the chalk that who should have been 70% owned ends up being 40% owned instead.
That's really great stuff there. Are there any other, I guess, sort of like cognitive items that you've noticed since you started playing DFS in 2010 that you think differ now, I guess maybe with the saturation of the market?
I think the biggest ones that people fall prey to, confirmation bias. People are always out looking for somebody to pat them on the back for the guy they want to play. And don't want to hear opinions that differ from what they already believe. That's still rampant. And the recency effect. Everyone's chasing points in every sport. If a guy did it last week, we're so just preconditioned to believe that he's going to do it again the next week or the next night in NBA or baseball. So those are the ones. There hasn't been a lot of change in that. And maybe I've raised awareness a little bit with my book and some of the writing that I do, but it's such human nature to fall prey to those things. I think really the shift in cognitive bias, there hasn't really been one. People are making the same mistakes, me included. I mean, it's not, we all do it.
You know, a follow-up question on this. So recency bias, I'm curious to see what it is you think, I guess, how it is that people can fight recency bias, but then also how it is that they can distinguish from recent events versus something that they shouldn't put too much stock into.
Yeah. So it's really hard, and it's really impossible for most of us with families and some of us with other jobs to watch every play of every game. But in so much as you can understand where stat lines come from, did a cornerback fall down and open up a 98-yard receiving play, or did the receiver actually get 14 targets for the last 3 weeks and finally plays a good soft defense? So I think just trying to understand where the statistics come from and not kind of blindly follow 30 fantasy points last week means 30 fantasy points again this week is one first step. But of course, and then understanding, was it a injury-induced opportunity? Those are the kind of big games that I do try to chase if that opportunity is going to stay there. But, fluky 2-touchdown games don't mean what a lot of people think they mean when they see the 25 fantasy points. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's fantastic having you on the show. This has already been enjoyable. Let's move into and start talking about some of the plays. We're focusing on roster construction and game theory. For more content on the slate, check out our NFL dashboard with positional breakdowns out by Thursday. And Renee, let's start with you. In terms of the players you are looking at right now, the chalky guys you're thinking about plugging into your cash games, who is it that you feel comfortable with? And I'm saying this, granted, it's Tuesday night as we record this. A lot of news could come out and change our opinions.
Yeah, it's already so mumuch news has come out and changed my opinions, and it's only Tuesday. And I was thinking, why did I agree to be on this week's podcast of all the weeks? Like, everything is kind of a guessing game. Which teams are going to take which strategy to get ready for the playoffs or rest for the playoffs?
It feels a little bit like the preseason.
Yes. Yes.
So I think there are some chalky running back plays and some chalky quarterback plays. I'm at a loss for who the chalk at wide receiver is. You guys can help out a little bit. Guys that I feel really, really comfortable with: Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Jameis Winston. At running back, I like Mark Ingram a lot. I think it looks like the Steelers are going to lean toward resting their starters, and this is a matchup with the Browns, so I think D'Angelo Williams has to be on your radar as long as his knee looks okay throughout the week. He's somebody that I would absolutely plug and play, super cheap on FanDuel. At receiver and tight end, I mean, there's guys that I like, but there's no one that I can point to that I think that's the guy that's going to be 50% owned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Levitan, what about you?
Yeah, so I've only looked at DK so far, but for sure I think David Johnson will be the most owned player on the slate. I mean, even though Arizona's been essentially eliminated for the last 3 weeks, he's played essentially 100% of snaps during that time, and I didn't really play him at all last week, and it bit me, but it bit me because he had 2 one-yard touchdowns and a 2-yard touchdown. So I still haven't decided if that was bad or not to play DJ. But either way, better matchup this week against LA, and there's no reason to think he won't play full snaps again. I think Jordy coming off the game last week, and we know that Green Bay, this is going to be a must-win. I think Jordy will be extremely high-owned. We'll see if Darius Slay can go to the Lions. I think T.Y. Hilton, it will be somewhat popular. Even though they're dead, I don't see why they'd rest anybody, and they're playing the Jags, so it's not the best possible matchup for T.Y., but they've been moving him around so much. And then, I mean, Travis Kelce, there were pictures of Travis Kelce out getting wasted on Saturday night in or what was that? I think it was Friday night Saturday night in Kansas City. And then the dude comes out and smashes. What do you have, 11 catches for 200 yards and a touchdown? And everybody saw it. And Kelce has 500-yard games in his last 6, and somehow he's only 5K on DK against the San Diego team that ever since they lost Eric Weddle has not been as strong against the tight end. So I don't see how everybody isn't playing Travis Kelce at tight end here. Yeah,
I think Travis Kelce might end up being one of the highest known players in the overall slate. Agree on David Johnson and Renee hit on the quarterbacks. I think Matt Ryan is going to be one of the more heavily owned quarterbacks we've seen in the last couple months. Atlanta still needs to win, I believe, for seeding, and against the Saints with a team total at about 32. I think he's going to be really heavily owned. In terms of running backs, if Spencer Ware gets ruled out, I think Charkandrick West, Charizard West will be a really popular play as well. Aaron Rodgers certainly will be the second-tier quarterback that I think will be popular. Do you guys agree that Matt Ryan will be more heavily owned than Aaron Rodgers?
My first instinct was that they'd be around the same, but I think you're making good points. I mean, the matchup for Aaron Rodgers is arguably just as good, right? I mean, home against Detroit.
Well, I mean, Dak Prescott made it look like the easiest matchup of all time.
Detroit's been 32nd DVOA versus the pass for a lot of the year. And then, I think those two will be most popular. And then I think Kirk Cousins, the Giants, although they do have a good pass defense, they're going to rest everybody. And I think especially on defense, we're going to see maybe every Giants starter or 80% of the Giants starters sit, and that would set up really well for Kirk Cousins too. So I definitely think those 3 will be the most popular quarterbacks.
Right, and there's still some playoff scenarios for the Redskins, right? At this point,
yeah, Redskins winning, they're in, baby.
This is good.
Yeah. If the Redskins win, they are in. The Falcons, they can lock up the number 2 seed with a win. If they lose, they could potentially drop to the number 4 seed. So they definitely have incentive to play, and obviously the Packers have incentive to play hard.
Oh yeah. All those teams for sure need it. I think you'll see a lot of the ownership clustered around these teams that really need it.
Right.
I agree. I think people will be afraid to play other guys. I mean, that was one of the challenges this week. You're playing slates that include the Monday night game. It's how much Dallas should you have, knowing that they said they're going to play everyone, it's going to be fine, but they really don't have incentive. So it was a challenge. Ezekiel had only got 12 carries, probably would have gotten 15, 16 carries if the game would have been a little closer, but it's definitely a challenge with these teams that don't really have incentive. So I think most people in general will flock towards the teams that have incentive to play.
And one more small item just to correct one thing I said. So if the Redskins win, they are in unless the Packers and the Lions tie. Randomly.
I wrote an article about that today, and I didn't even include that the tie possibility. Don't even worry about it.
So so Pete, you mentioned there the Cowboys this last week, and looking ahead to Week 17, I'm curious about your thoughts on them because it seems like a situation where they're going to play their starters long enough where the backups probably don't have any utility, but the starters might not be in the game long enough to have any utility themselves. I'm curious to see your thoughts on the Cowboys in that situation.
Yeah, I'm just going to fade it, and then maybe that's wrong if I'm playing a bunch of tournament lineups, but I'm just going to fade it. Jerry Jones came out right after the game that this is what we want to do, but I mean, yeah, give the offense maybe one or two, series, but I just can't see a lot of series, but we don't know if they're going to just do that. So you can't really play the backups either. So, I mean, it just seems like a fade to me. Maybe Dan Bailey, if you're playing a kicker, is still viable, but that's really it for me. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on Dallas, though.
Yeah, I think they'll treat it like a preseason game. I think Dak plays maybe one or two series, and then they'll go to the backups, and they have capable backups, but it's nobody I'm excited about. Outside of, if you could tell me like Christ Butler was going to play 3 quarters, then maybe I'd be excited, but he may be the only guy on Dallas I would consider.
Oh, yeah, that's on brand for Levitan, Christ Butler right there.
Yeah, I looked through. Unfortunately, I haven't found that many guys that I think are in hashtag preseason good spots. It's frustrating. I'm going to have to look harder because right now I'm really not seeing too many.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. There's a lot of options, though. It's nice that we have such a big slate for Week 17, and certainly there can be bigger edges this week than other weeks, especially if certain teams say, hey, we're going to rest guys, or there's some news that you can take advantage of that might not be seen by everyone. So Week 17 historically has been a really good week.
Yeah, let's talk about some of maybe the chalkier players. Or it's so hard right now to say who will be chalky because of the uncertainty with the week. But who are some of the players we're looking to move away from? And Levitan, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people want to play D'Angelo Williams, like Renee said. My concern is he hasn't played in so long. Like, how much are they really going to extend him? They do have Fitzgerald Toussaint, who they've used. So if D'Angelo Williams starts to be popular, I'll for sure be off of him. And people want to keep playing J.J. Nelson, and maybe I should keep playing J.J. Nelson, but God, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You guys should tell me what to do. Like, I'm having a hard time with 160-pound guys with dead quarterbacks in the last game of the season on the road. I mean, J.J. Nelson only caught 3 balls last week, but, of course, one of them went for like an 80-yard touchdown or something. So, I don't know. I probably won't be on J.J. Nelson again.
I would actually be really curious to hear what Renee has to say about this, because J.J. Nelson feels like the guy that's sort of like the test case for recency bias versus sort of like a change in recent events. He's getting more snaps and more targets because Michael Floyd isn't there. I think if we include the rushing touchdown he had a few weeks ago, he has 7 touchdowns in the last 8 games. That seems totally unsustainable, but at the same time, he's out there and he keeps on producing, sort of like a version of Tyreek Hill or something like that. But I would be curious on your thoughts, Renee.
Yeah, in my mind, he's kind of in that Tyreek Hill, Taylor Gabriel kind of category, where there has been an opening on the offense, on a potent offense, on a potentially potent offense, and he's filling the gap, and he's filling it well, and he's got a lot of natural ability and physical attributes that, he's super fast. He's on the small side, but for one more week, I'm kind of with Adam. I don't know where to come down on him for this week. I have liked him over the past stretch. I think the Cardinals are going to look different than they do now next year. So I feel like a little bit of his kind of auditioning for J.J. Nelson, like, who really is he? Is he someone to keep and build around? And in that vein, I think maybe they'll continue to try to get him the ball. And I think he's a really interesting complement to David Johnson on that team. Probably the touchdowns, that kind of thing, not only is it unsustainable, it's really hard to predict. So, right. Especially the 80-yard variety or the 50-yard rushing variety. I mean, for any of those guys, Gabriel Hill, I'm not basing a decision on that. I think his usage will be moderate, and if he breaks the big play, he breaks it. And in that vein, he's more of like in the risk-reward category.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's a perfect GPP play for that reason. The only thing that's a little bit of a downer is his ownership will be relatively high after last week. So he's a perfect GPP guy. Same with Tyreek Hill. And that's the one guy I think is in a little different category. I've talked a lot about him all year. I know he's, reliant on the big play to a degree, but the guy makes more big plays than anyone. I mean, he has 11 touchdowns already this year. He's going to get opportunity rushing. He's going to get opportunity in the special teams. He's going to get opportunity rushing the football. So he's the one guy that I think is a little bit more reliable than Taylor Gabriel or J.J. Nelson, and that's Tyreek Hill. But, yeah, these guys are tough to play and almost always not a good cash game play.
Who are we thinking about in terms of stacking, some of the conventional stacks that we would want to roll out here? And Pete, let's start with you.
Well, I think that Aaron Rodgers to Jordy Nelson will certainly be popular, but it looks like another good stack this week. I don't mind going back to Devontae Adams either. I think Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams makes a ton of sense. One kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a normal stack, but I've seen people do it a lot this year. Is pairing Matt Ryan with one of the running backs on Atlanta just because they do have receiving touchdown upside. So I certainly think that makes some sense as well. If you're going to go with Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Jackson's been a great stack with him for GPPs. Again, we're talking about a lot of guys here that have just the big play, not as much volume, but Deshaun Jackson continues to do it. So I think that makes sense. I'm not sure how popular Russ Wilson to Doug Baldwin will be. I imagine it'll be relatively popular after last week, but that's another one that could pay dividends. The issue there is game flow, but it is in San Francisco. So we'll see. But those are some of the popular ones I think will be up there. I guess Mike Evans and Jameis Winston could also be popular.
Yeah, and just to talk about that Seattle game, it is a game that they want to win. If they win and the Falcons lose, Seattle does get the number 2 seed, so they are incentivized. Levitan, thoughts on the people you're looking to stack?
I mean, Pete took them all. What do you want me to say? I mean, Aaron Rodgers to Jordy is for sure the one that I think everybody's going to be on. And Cousins Djax. I played Djax with Barkley and Meredith in the main event last week, and Djax left the game late with a jaw injury, but he continues to see usage not just on vertical routes, but over the middle too. And we've seen him kind of fight against zones and sit down in the middle and play really well. So again, I think this Giants defense that people are going to be afraid of will not be the Giants defense because they're literally playing all backups, or I expect them to play literally all backups. So yeah, I think Cousins to Djax and Jordy and A-Rod would be my 2 favorite for chalk stacks.
Mm-hmm. Renee?
I like the Atlanta stack. I forget, it might have been you, Adam, that pointed it out on Twitter, the Atlanta running back discrepancy between the home and road. Like Tevin Coleman is the road back and Devontae Freeman is the home guy.
I don't think I did, but if it's a good stat, I'll take credit for it.
Sure. Someone did. I can't remember who, but it has really held up. Helped me last week. Tevin Coleman. But so this should be a Devontae Freeman week if you're doing that quarterback, running back stack. I like to do that a lot with teams where I don't know who's going to be the best receiver, either because there are multiple guys that could be it, like with Drew Brees and the Saints, or because none of them are really that good. Sometimes like with formerly Tyrod Taylor and the Bills, where you just go with Tyrod and LaShawn McCoy, and that way you account for all the team's touchdowns if you think they're going to score a lot. So that's the way I like to go. I don't know what Atlanta is one of these teams where they have something to play for, but they know they're locked into a top 4 seed. What are they going to do with Julio Jones? Do they rest him, make sure he's 100% going forward, or they really try to, pull out all the stops to get this bye week? So I like Matt Ryan. I like Devontae Freeman. I like Seattle for sure.
This might be going a little more towards the contrarian stacks, but Renee, do you have any thoughts on Brady and any of his receivers? It is a game that the Patriots want to win. Miami, they have a chance to move up to the number 5 seed, but they don't really have anything to play for. They're basically there as a bottom 2 seed. Any thoughts on Brady and a receiver?
Brady, yes. I think Edelman's the safest receiver if you want to pair someone with him. I think the Patriots actually keep the foot on the pedal in this game. I think they go hard. I think they want to win. They want to be dominant, and that's the mindset. They want to go into the playoffs. They almost know for sure they're going to have that week off next week. So I do like Brady. I'm not really high on like forcing a stack though, not with Bennett. I would do Edelman, I guess, Malcolm Mitchell, the big play guy, or even go really cheap. Like maybe it's Dion Lewis, who's really kind of been slowly rising, not as fast as he did it down the stretch in last season, but his usage is fair. And in a game where maybe they do try to spread it out or play everybody slightly fewer snaps, he could be one that takes advantage.
Yeah, one thing with Brady that I worry a little bit about, I do think that there's some validity there for tournaments, but historically he hasn't played that well against Miami. It's second game in division on the road, but again, it's the Patriots. They can stomp. So I think there's GPP upside there, but I like the other quarterbacks a lot more in cash and leagues personally.
Pete, who are you, contrarian-wise, who are you looking to go with?
I mean, it pains me to say this after last week how bad it was, but can we get on Tom Savage to DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller again? I mean, against the Titans, I mean, the same thing happened. We were, grimacing about playing Blake Bortles, but this Titans defense is just the nuts for quarterbacks. So, especially with Mariota hurt, I mean, the offense will be less effective potentially, so it could be some shorter fields. It's not a great GPP stack because I just don't see like a huge ceiling for Savage, but certainly cheap if you want to jam in David Johnson, Jordy Nelson, all these other guys. So, yeah, I don't know. I know Levitan over there is dying.
Oh, yeah, I played Hopkins in cash last week. Thankfully I didn't play him at all in GPPs because he was high owned. I think we underestimated the quality of Cincinnati's corner play and perimeter defense play. So that would be my argument to come back onto Nuke. And as you said, like the definition of a funnel defense for the last, 8 weeks has been the Titans just getting absolutely bludgeoned through the air by everybody. So, yeah, I guess. I mean, Pete played Allen Robinson in cash last week. So, I mean, he's probably a better guy to ask than me about going back to these guys who have sucked all year.
You guys I was going to make DeAndre Hopkins having his second 100-yard receiving game of the year my bold prediction. So I'm
foreshadowing.
I like it.
Any thoughts on Breeze here in this spot going against the Falcons? The Falcons are vulnerable defensively. It's a situation where it seems like Breeze isn't going to take it easy just because they're not in the playoffs. I mean, it seems like that offense is always going, but at the same time, they don't have anything to play for.
Oh yeah. I'm on Breeze big time.
Oh, yeah. I had him written down as my contrarian stack. I didn't know it was going to be contrarian, but we went this far into the show without mentioning it. So, yeah, I think people were let down, myself included, by Breeze last week. I mean, this Atlanta defense has faced a one-armed Cam Newton, Jared Goff, and Colin Kaepernick the last 3 weeks. Like, if they are to face a competent quarterback, which Drew Brees, I think pretty clearly is, like, they're going to get lit. I think Breeze is an awesome play for sure.
Who are you looking to stack him with? Just shotgunning it, basically, just hoping you get it right?
Yeah, no, I think you can double stack. I mean, that's what you're on, right, Pete? Double stack.
Cooks just stack that whole game. Just play Breeze, Michael Thomas, Cooks, Devontae Freeman, one of the receivers for Atlanta, and just load up and hope it works out. I mean, Breeze probably has some crazy incentives where if he passes for more yards, he'll get some more money. I mean, the guy is just the king of racking up stats, and he's gonna be going all out. They like to score points. They like to rack up the numbers. So I don't think there's any fear there. It's also a division game. I mean, I expect them to play all their guys. So Michael Thomas is probably my favorite play out of all of them, but I think Cooks obviously has a ton upside. It's indoors, so that helps him as well. I just think it's an overall really good spot for that game.
Any thoughts on Snead as the guy that you would go with instead of Cooks or Thomas? I mean, I'm imagining that Snead will be the lowest owned. He still gets a decent number of targets.
I haven't played him in so long, I don't even know. I'd have to look at him more.
I mean, it's not a sexy play.
No, I can never do it.
Yeah.
It's the lowest floor, too, I think.
It certainly is true.
I beg to differ, but
I mean, I think it is true that he does have the lowest floor of all those guys. Renee, you had mentioned there your bold call for Hopkins. Let's go ahead and go to you. I would be interested.
One more contrarian.
Yes.
Because I feel pretty strong about it. I don't have to say a lot, but Chicago, even with Matt Barkley throwing all those interceptions, he's throwing a ton. And Minnesota over the past few weeks, like since their bye week, hasn't been nearly as tough as they were in the first 6 or 7 weeks of this season. So I think Barkley's volume and, the comfort that he's feeling more and more each week makes him kind of an interesting play. And his salary hasn't gone up at all. I mean, he outscored Matt Stafford, he outscored Cam Newton, and he threw 5 interceptions last week. So, if he can only throw 2 interceptions, he's right there in Drew Brees, Tom Brady range.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say he's already Jay Cutler's equal in throwing interceptions. Who are you thinking about stacking him with? I'm assuming it's Meredith, but what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, Meredith's definitely the safest way to go.
Can we talk real quickly about how ridiculous this whole Xavier Rhodes story is about how going rogue? I mean, I was on Devontae. The thing about last week that was so frustrating for me, and I felt great about it, was I went all in on Lockett and Devontae Adams. And I had a ton of Rodgers with Devontae Adams. Had one team out of 50 with Jordy, but I went to fade Jordy, hoping that Xavier Rhodes would shadow him. And for some of the same reasons, I was hoping Patrick Peterson would spend more time on Baldwin and Lockett would have a great game. And obviously injuries hurt that. But, I mean, sometimes you just got to – I mean, you have to look at the matchups, but sometimes – I don't know. Adam, did you learn anything from that, or is it just something we throw away?
Yeah, no. What I learned that I'm on rabbit tilt. I mean, what the hell are these guys doing? The coach tells you to go shadow a dude, and you say no. I mean, now they're backing off the story, and they're claiming that, no, this is not what happened, But, like, Terrence Newman has been in this league for so long, and he's always been, like, a great locker room guy. I kind of find it hard to believe he said, no, don't listen to Zimmer. I'm going to take Jordy when he comes on this side. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I think there's a lot more going on here. But regardless, like, I think something we learned is that when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers and a talent like Jordy Nelson, perhaps the matchup really doesn't matter, right? Like, give me Jordy one-on-one against anybody, and it really doesn't matter. But, yeah, I played Jordy, I think, on one slate out of the bazillion I played. And obviously that was super frustrating to see what happened.
Yeah. I think the lesson I learned is that Zimmer needs to be fired pretty soon. But Renee, let's go to you for the bold call there. So you're thinking DeAndre Hopkins, 100-yard game. Is that the one you're sticking with?
Yep.
All right. No, it's a good one.
Come up with a new one.
no, that's a good one. So let's say that's your DFS call. Do you have one that's more real life football in terms of like a game outcome?
Well, I'm going to butt heads with Adam on this one and say Washington does not win the game.
Oh, it's definitely possible. Hungry backups for the Giants.
Yep. Any division game in the NFC East, I don't know. I don't take for granted. I know. It would not be bold if they weren't so heavily favored.
Yeah, no, I mean, that line went up to 8. I mean, yeah, once I think the line probably get even higher once like everybody realizes what's happening with the Giants.
Yeah, that's good there. Pete, let's go to you.
Real life call, I'd love to take the Dolphins here with the points versus the Pats, but I'm really nervous that the Dolphins are going to potentially rest guys or do something because they really don't have much incentive in this game. That's my one concern with that call, but right now, just looking at it and look how historically they've played against the Patriots, I'd take that. In terms of a DFS call, I think it's a challenging week, but I'll say that one of the Atlanta running backs is the number 1 scoring running back on the week, which I think is really bold when you consider how well David Johnson's played. But I have a feeling that Freeman, who's a guy I used in the live final a couple of weeks, could have a huge game, and or Coleman in the spot.
Yeah, I like that. Levitan. I mean, what are you going to pick now that you can't go with the Browns?
You can go with the Browns still.
Did I hit the Browns last week?
You hit the Browns last week.
Thank God. I'm one in.
Broken clock is literally right twice a day.
I'm 1-14 picking the Browns to win this year. Yeah. No, I only take them when they're at home. So what am I now? 1-7. All right. I will go for my DFS call. I've been impressed with the way that EJ Manuel has played in the last 2 #preseasons. And it's kind of a tough spot for him because he has to go on the road. He's not going to have a lot of preparation. Who knows how much Sammy Watkins plays with his foot issue. But I thought EJ Manuel was actually pretty solid. So I'll go bold DFS call, EJ Manuel for 300, 3 bills. And in the real life call, I will say that the New Orleans Saints, a loosey-goosey New Orleans Saints team, goes into Atlanta, gets the out right there, and keeps Atlanta from that number 2 seed in a bye. So I'll go to New Orleans to get the outright.
That's nice. I like that. I mean, it's a division game. Actually, here's a quick question. It's sort of an aside, but we have 16 division games this week. It seems a little bit like overkill, and also like those could be good games, but they're the last week of the season where half of those games don't mean anything anyway. Like, what are your thoughts just on this slate in general with all of those division games jammed in at the end?
I mean, Goodell screwed it up again, man. You need the division games in week 15 and 16. You can't do anything right. In week 17, it's too late. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, normally we like to play. That was one of the big reasons I played Barkley last week, was like non-division game was one of the few ones. And we talked about that on here last week. I think Freeman pointed out, but we can't go to it this week. So, I mean, what are we going to do? We have to play a division game, obviously.
Yeah. There's a way to speculate on overall scoring on the slate, like fantasy points. You'd want to take the under, but outside of that, there's not really anything actionable that you can do.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some of the skill game propositions. And Pete, do you want to start us off, or do you want me?
I mean, sure. Why don't I just donate? Let's all right. Let's take a time here. I'll take a sip of this.
I got one. I'll take Cousins versus anybody 7K or less. Anybody 7K or less on DK. I'll take Cousins.
Let me look at this.
That leaves you
Luck, Wilson.
Yeah.
I kind of like Cousins better than both those guys.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like Luck as much against his Jags D.
Yeah.
Sure, give me Russell Wilson just to get things rolling.
All right.
I'll do Luck.
Okay.
I'll take Winston.
Okay. We'll do something with Devontae.
Do I have to write something down? I don't have to.
I'm the administrative assistant on this one.
Okay.
You just have to send cases of Coors Light to Pete's house.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm shipping them to you guys, so that's it.
We just actually ordered beer on Amazon Prime now.
Oh.
We delivered to the house in like 2 hours. So
it's amazing.
That's definitely a really strong move. I like that.
You just gave an amazing idea to like 16-year-old kids watching this show everywhere.
Oh no. You have to sign for it.
Oh, okay.
16-year-olds don't watch this show.
Oh, sorry.
Pete, what were you going to say there?
No, I just thought that's an awesome idea on the beer. I was going to say that I'm the one giving up all the beer, so I'll be shipping it via Amazon or something to you guys. I'm down quite a few 6-packs of these wonderful Coors Lights here. I'll throw out something for Devontae Freeman, though. I'll take him versus other guys in that same range. I'm trying to think what's his exact price.
I mean, the closest guy, he's 7K. The closest guy I have that I'm moderately interested in, not even really, is Jordan Howard. So I don't see much around there.
It's a tough range.
Give me two guys under 6K.
How about 2 guys under 5K?
Oh,
really driving a hard bargain there.
You got Alfred Blue as like a lock right off the bat if you want him.
Yeah, I guess.
Alex Collins, maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely something we don't know now, but I'm not sure exactly how Seattle's going to play it, because they do have a lot of guys like on their practice squad and like third stringers and fourth stringers haven't played all year. So we'll see what they do. But right now, Alex Collins looks like he will be their feature back against San Francisco, which is obviously just like the nuts.
Yeah. Okay. So
what did you think of Alex Collins coming out, Matt?
I liked him more than I probably should. He's not the type of guy who really blows you away in terms of his physical attributes or his metrics, but he was consistently productive there at Arkansas in a timeshare. And the guy he actually reminded me the most of, or I should say like the model that he looked the most like, was a slightly less athletic Marshawn Lynch. So it's just ironic, I guess, that he ends up in Seattle, but that's the guy that he looks like to me. So I don't mind him. It's like the week 17 thing. We sort of just don't know yet exactly who's going to be getting the action. But on that note, Levitan, I'm curious as to whether you've heard anything about, what Buffalo plans to do with their running back situation. Are they going to run McCoy the whole time, or do you think that Gillislee is going to get a lot of that action?
Yeah, you would think they would take it easy on McCoy, who I don't know, like he doesn't strike me as a dude who's like, we're going right to the whistle. You know what I mean? Like we're going to play this one all the way out. He probably wouldn't mind, unless there's incentives in his contract that we don't know about. He probably wouldn't mind taking some time off. So yeah, I'd be pretty scared to roster LaShawn McCoy and other veterans that are out of the playoffs. You know, it's like, yeah, like guys like I don't even know who, but like any veteran who's like 30 years old and on a dead team, like that would concern me for sure.
Yeah, even DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, that would concern me for sure, especially with how much they've used Derrick Henry lately.
Yeah. Okay, so Pete, you said Devontae Freeman, and we can get 2 players under 5,000, right?
Yep, trying to be a little more stingy here in this show.
I mean, I'll take Blue and Collins, but I feel like you have the edge there.
Really?
Yeah.
With 2 guys? I mean, I don't know.
That's really tough. Where's
Is there someone else like in the 5,500 range?
I mean, I like going back to Ty Montgomery again.
Sure, I'll give you Ty Montgomery too. How about one and one?
All right, I'll
One
take
guy under 6, one guy under 5.
I'll take Montgomery and Blue.
Oh wow, Montgomery's in there. Okay, I will do Montgomery and I'm gonna go with Fat Rob, Montgomery and Fat Rob.
All right, I like that. I think that's sharp.
I'll take Jacquizz Rodgers and Mark Ingram.
We gotta talk about Travis Kelce versus some players. I mean, I know Travis Kelce's like the stone lock here, but I would take 2 tight ends versus Kelce if you wanted to give that Levitan.
I'll give it to you because I'm such a great guy, but I do like a couple. I do like a couple other tight ends, but go ahead.
All right, I'll take Greg Olsen, and I'll take thinking about Zach Ertz and Delaney Walker. Do you have a preference out of those 2 guys? I think I'm going to go Zach Ertz, but I guess it's a little scary without incentive. But Ertz has been a target monster outside of last week.
My first guy, I actually think Ertz is a better play than Olsen. I think that, Ertz just smashes every December, and I don't see any reason why he won't play well here. Like, yeah, I think Ertz is the play for sure. And Delaney, obviously has the quarterback issue now. So
that's true. Delaney does have the quarterback issue. And, Rudolph, Minnesota's nothing really to play for. Jimmy Graham's also intriguing. But I'll just take Olsen and Ertz.
Yeah.
Renee, do you want in on that one?
No, there's there's no one I feel really strongly about. I like Ertz, Fedorowicz, again, maybe, but nah.
Yeah, it is hard to go against Kelce. Levitan, I'm going to do I'll do Ertz and Graham.
Okay. Graham's been getting like 2 targets a game for the last 4 weeks. I have no idea. I almost played him last week in the main event, and I was like, I don't know if I can play this dude. He never sees the ball anymore. I don't know what's going on, but I'll let you take Graham happily.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it might change with Tyler Lockett being out.
Yeah,
Lockett was siphoning a chunk of targets each game.
And playing San Francisco can cure a lot. Like we saw, Antonio Gates literally rise from his coffin and come to life to torch the Browns. It's so absurd. Of course, I don't play Gates. Last week was such a disaster. I don't even want to talk about it.
I'll take for old time's sake, and even though I really don't feel good about this, I'll take Denver D. You guys can take two defenses just to give away a ton of equity.
Yeah.
Denver D might not show up the offensive line. I know it's against the backup, but yeah, I'll still do it.
I'll take Seattle and give me. I'll take Seattle and Buffalo.
Okay.
Whew.
I'll take Arizona and Oakland.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to do Buffalo and the Texans.
There's a lot of defenses to choose from this week.
Yeah,
a lot of really good defenses.
Let's do some wide receivers here. Pete, I think you're pretty high on Jordy.
I'm high on Jordy. Let's see here. Who am I the highest on? Julio, my goodness. I got big on Julio last week. That was a disaster. Yeah, I guess.
I'll go against Nuke. How much is Nuke?
Nuke is 6,500.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would take I'll take Devontae Adams or I'll take Devontae Adams against Nuke.
It's like my other favorite play, bro. I can't do that.
Well, Renee was on Nuke though.
Okay, I'll take Devontae Adams.
You want that, Renee? I'll take Devontae against Nuke.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll take Devontae versus Nuke. He's probably my favorite play.
I'm gonna jump on that too.
Devontae Adams can catch the ball in the end zone.
I know. He dropped another one. He did catch one in the end zone last week.
He did catch one, but he's had some egregious drops, like 3 in 2 weeks that are just like right in the hands, right there, and no reason to drop, but he's dropped
so
it.
Bad.
Yeah.
Another guy that we haven't talked a lot about is Mike Evans at the top. And, Tampa Bay has this super. I mean, they're not making the playoffs, but they have to win their games.
They have to play.
Yeah.
They have to play. So I mean, how does Mike Evans not destroy this?
Yeah, I would take Mike Evans over anyone else you want except for Jordy.
I would even take him over Jordy, I think.
Okay. I'll definitely take Jordy. I'll
take Jordy versus Mike Evans.
But I'll also give you some action. I'll take T.Y. Hilton over Mike Evans. I think the concern with Mike Evans for me typically is like the more guys they lose, I'm not sure it's necessarily a good thing for him. So like they lost Vincent Jackson and it was good for a little bit and then he started to struggle. And now they lose Brait. It's like, what are they putting out there? And you could see if Carolina's game planning for this game, which I'm not sure they are, but if they're game planning for this game, it should be like 4 guys on Mike Evans. And Carolina has played improved pass defense last, which was, kind of one of my big hashtag regrets was kind of ignoring how well Carolina's played against receivers last year with the Julio situation.
Yeah. I'll
He's
take.
also given up some of the best quarterback performances of the year.
But I don't think lately, have they? I don't know.
It's recently, I mean, when was Derek Carr? It was like week 12 maybe?
Yeah.
I'll give you some equity too back, Renee. I'll take Michael Thomas versus Mike Evans, which is egregious, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, Thomas is having a very underappreciated rookie season. I mean, it's up there.
Underappreciated though. I mean,
I don't think so. I love him. Yeah.
Okay. So let me contextualize the way in which I'm saying underappreciated. I think people are like they're appreciating that he's doing well this year, but I don't think they're sort of placing it in like the sort of like the larger pantheon of other rookie performances. Like I think people have kind of gotten spoiled with like Mike Evans 2 years ago and Odell Beckham 2 years ago. Like those guys were sort of like all-time great rookie performers. And so I think like Michael Thomas doesn't rise to that level, but he's still a very good rookie producer. And I think people just kind of aren't thinking of him as like a potential superstar for the next decade, but that's kind of like what he's putting out there as a rookie.
Mm.
But any other wide receivers that we're interested in here?
I'll take Golden Tate for someone.
I'll take Michael Thomas.
Sure. Just all the head. When I'm down, when I'm just done.
I'll take Deshaun Jackson too. I'll give you some equity. I'll take Deshaun over Golden Tate.
Okay.
Oh man, I want to go against Golden Tate. Can you give me a price limit?
Yeah, I mean, 6,600. You can take anyone under. So, I mean, there's tons of great guys. You got DeAndre Hopkins. You got the Broncos receivers, who that would be my final skill game prop, is getting some Coors Light action on Emmanuel Sanders to make the wife happy. But, yeah, there's lots of guys.
All right, I'm going to go with Adams over Tate.
Okay. Yeah, I want to do 2 other ones. I want to take Emmanuel Sanders in some way, and I want to take Tyreek Hill, and then I'll be done.
Oh, God. Please let me fade Tyreek Hill. What can I take against Tyreek Hill?
Anyone else under 5,600?
Oh my God! Give me everybody. Give me Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, let's do this. You can take every receiver under 5,600, and I'll take Tyreek Hill.
I mean, I want ones versus ones with all these guys against Tyreek Hill. Deshaun Jackson, Adam Thielen, Allen Robinson. Marquise Lee, and I'll even throw you some equity. Give me Christ Butler as well.
Oh yeah, those are some good names.
Peter, are you taking all those?
Tyreek Hill is going to touch the ball 3 times.
But the Chiefs have some incentive here, right?
Oh yeah.
They do. Certainly.
If they win and they still have a shot,
Oakland
and Oakland loses, they can get a bye.
Hey, give me Tyreek Hill. Smoke a box of blunts for breakfast.
I know people just scrolling through.
I'll go. I've been kind of playing with this in the back of my mind all day, and I'm sure I'll roll it out in some form on Sunday. But how about Amari Cooper?
Well, that's Pete's boy.
Yeah, my boy, right, for sure. Burned me hard last week when I needed him not to do anything. When I needed the game to get extended, he catches a pass to ice the game. Just a total disaster.
It's pretty clear Crabtree's better, right? I mean, I don't think we can argue.
Come on.
It's pretty clear. I mean, I'm just saying.
I would rather have Amari Cooper starting a team right now.
Of course.
Amari Cooper over Crabtree.
Sure, but at this very moment for roster,
even for next year.
Yeah.
It's been Crabtree has more touchdown equity.
Yeah, and just more like week-to-week consistency.
For sure.
I'll do Allen Robinson over Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I like Allen Robinson again this week, but sure, load it up.
Hey, any thoughts on, because you're sort of hashtag narrative street, any thoughts on Steve Smith Sr.? Is this in his potential final NFL game?
I mean, I'm shorting him. The Achilles rupture, man. I got to short that. Short it.
There's a history with Steve Smith and narrative streets. If you guys remember the first time that he played the Panthers. Yeah, and the ball bounced off of his shoulder pad into the air, and he grabbed it and ran for an 80-yard touchdown.
And narrative street was real though, and not because of the touchdowns. He had the one touchdown where the guy the quarterback dropped the snap and then just threw it up and he caught it black or whatever. But what makes me think that was a real narrative is the first play of the game was a screen pass to Steve Smith, and they did not really do that all year. So they were actively trying to get him the ball.
No, and I think that you could see enhanced targets for Steve Smith if this is indeed his last game. I mean, do you guys believe this is his last game? I think is the bigger question. Or has he told the Ravens this is his last game? I guess is the most important question.
I'm behind on my narratives on Tuesday here.
Yeah, so if he actually told the Ravens that this is his last game, I actually could see an enhanced target projection.
Okay,
let's say. So I'll take him, and you guys can take anyone under 5,000.
Oh God,
so we got for the playoffs. We're gonna start a new slate. We got to be shrewd like Freeman. We got to be on the ball. Good deals. That's how he's had an efficient. What are you, 69 and 47 or something like that?
Yeah, I think
low volume, just high efficiency, waiting for the good deals.
Give me. That's not fair, Freeman. Give me somebody. Let me get Deshaun Jackson.
I'll take. Who do you guys like more, Crowder or Pierre Garcon?
Garcon for me.
Garcon.
Yeah, I mean, you can have one of the.
I'll take Garcon versus.
How high is Djax? 5,600?
Yeah.
That's way too expensive for Steve Smith.
Fine. Give me Garcon. Just hold me over the barrel.
You're getting the guy who's more expensive. I'm taking the guy who's potentially about to retire.
How much is Steve Smith?
4,900.
4,900, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah. All right. Any final skill game props here?
Not for me.
Did you want to? You have Sanders. Did you want?
Give me Sanders for someone. I'll tell my wife about that.
How much is he?
I'll take Demaryius.
Done.
You say 61?
Yeah, take anyone under, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll take Devontae Adams, but I do want to say, just if I knew Sammy Watkins was going to play a full game, I would take Sammy Watkins with EJ.
I like that call.
Yeah, I'll take Adams over Sanders. Yeah, I think I'm way too invested in Adams this week, but that's just kind of how it goes.
I love Adams this week, so I think that's sharp.
Yeah. All right, Renee, thanks for being on the show, and everyone be sure to check out her work and follow her on Twitter at Renee Miller 01, and also follow Adam and Pete at Adam Levitan and CSURAM88. And you can follow me on Twitter at MattFOracle. I'm Matthew Freedman, and this has been the Daily Fantasy Flex podcast for Week 17. If you like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Podbean. And don't forget to check out our NFL dashboard with positional breakdowns out by Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck, and we will see you next week.